Well, what do you know? Joel Kinnaman tried to pull an Andrew Garfield, but it wasn't quite as successful, and I'll tell you why. Andrew Garfield took the approach of saying, hey, I'd love to come back as Spider-Man, but Sony doesn't ask, and it was therefore a sympathetic, like an if-only kind of scenario that he created. And then it turned out that they did. But Joel Kinnaman's tactic was to make it seem like a streaming series like Peacemaker was beneath him. That was the mistake, because first off, Kinnaman got his big break in Hollywood on a streaming series, so to speak. And then second, Joel baby, what else are you doing? The answer is nothing. So when we heard that, we were all like, you'd be lucky to get the call for Peacemaker. And it turns out he did. Now, this was a rumor that had been going around for a while, but some of you also guessed, and I'm impressed. Why did you guess it? I guess it makes sense, but I'd love to hear how it came to you. But I saw a number of people guessing, even after just the first episode, that, Rick Flag Jr. would come back and that he would be involved with Harcourt. So you were right. And then I've also seen, speaking of guesses, some people saying they think that the big surprise that James Gunn has been promising might be live-action Creature Commandos. Remember, Rick Flag Sr. did just head up that group, and James Gunn made a big deal about how in his DC, in his franchise, actors will be able to jump between animation and live action. And he intentionally cast that series so that could be done. And it seems like something James Gunn would get a real kick out of. He said this is one of the favorite things he's ever done, and the more I think about it, the more I think that might be it. Now, I have heard that there is still one big Superman cameo to come. But I agree that I think all, or even just one or two, Creature Commandos jumping to live action is an excellent guess for what might be in store for us as this season continues. We'll see if we're right. Do you care to make any other predictions this early on for the rest of the season? I have a prediction. Yup, this other dimension's Peacemaker is clearly, or was clearly, because he did, but was clearly very sketchy. From disappearing all the time, here they say you've been disappearing more than usual, to rampant drug use, to a closet full of clothes that even our Peacemaker thinks are tacky. And he's been secretly meeting up with a Karen, knowing she's actually named Karen. But maybe it cuts both ways. Maybe she's also a Karen, as we also picked up last episode. So here's my guess. My guess is that the Peacemaker from this other dimension is actually in charge of their terrorist group, the Sons of Liberty, that our Peacemaker, takes out during this episode. And not just leather pants, but in dress shoes without socks. That's very impressive, I must say. I was like, dude, do you not want to change me? Even that other policeman was like, he's not wearing his uniform. And because his uniform, what does he care? I guess the helmet has special abilities, and usually he has a jetpack. That's true. But, still, I was just like, dude, he's got leather pants on him. And I just keep thinking of the Ross episode from Friends. All right, but I feel that the name of the group, the Sons of Liberty, taken from the actual real-life rebel group responsible for the Boston Tea Party and other exploits during the Revolutionary War, I think in real life they were probably somewhere between this and Disney's Johnny Tremaine. Hey, they weren't a prayer group, but I don't think they were this violent either. But that name, I think, really ties into Peacemaker's patriotic theme. I just have a feeling that Chris, who's so enjoying getting to finally be the hero, will only discover later on that even in this dimension, he's still secretly the villain. Although in this dimension, it's not exactly a clear distinction between hero and villain. His brother, Captain Triumph, they've never said that on the show yet, but I saw it, that's what he was listed on online. He brutally takes out that helicopter. Woo! And everyone applauds both of them after Chris brutally murdered all those terrorists. I guess technically maybe nobody would know at that point, but it seems like this is what, this trio, the terrific trio maybe is really the terrible trio, with how they conduct themselves. Like our Chris didn't even try to bring in any of those terrorists alive. And honestly, watching this action sequence, it's cool. I had some favorite moments, which I'll share in a moment. But I just want to say that my overall reaction to it was that it was like watching someone relapse. And I think that maybe that was James Gunn's intention. I hope it was. I really felt that. Did you? I mean, I just felt, I thought it was painful to see Chris relapse like that. He's worked so hard not to kill people anymore. And yet here he just like took a bloodbath, right? Might as well be a bubble bloodbath. It was so bad. It just made me feel like he genuinely has a problem with killing. Like, I mean, that was honestly my reaction watching this episode. Chris, you have a real problem. I mean, he's addicted to it. Chris's relapse aside, I would say that this is a pretty cool action sequence, especially when you consider this is a low-budget superhero show. I mean, it really is a low-budget superhero show. You can, like, see the wires when anybody stops flying and stuff like that. But anyway, but yeah, the action sequence I thought really had some standout moments. I mean, really, I think they deserve a shout out. So I'm going to shout out my favorites, and I'd love to hear what your favorite moments in the action sequence were down below. I thought the pencils were a bit too much. I was like, no, Chris, no. All right, so 1, the blast. The first time I watched this episode, it genuinely caught me off guard, and I jumped when I was watching it. That was very, very well done. Like, I saw people running peripherally, right? And that was cool too. But the blast itself literally came out of nowhere. It was great. 2, Chris jumping from building to building, cutting a mean silhouette in those black leather pants. I mean, he did the Batman Dark Knight Returns pose. That was pretty great. And I don't think I saw any wires there. I wonder if that was actually a stuntman. That was very cool. 3, when he was sitting on top of the copier, for some reason I thought it was very cute. And the way he hopped off of it, it had a little bit Deadpool vibes. I really thought that was cute. Oh, there's a good team up. That would work. They're very similar though. And then 4, this shot in the stairwell, where I must admit, he looked like a boss. He looked very cool there. Another adorable moment was earlier in the episode where our Chris is trying to pass himself off as their Chris. But needs to find out some information. So he decides to pop quiz his brother. And one of the things is he says, hey, can I borrow your car? Pop quiz, can I borrow your car? And his brother responds, no, why don't you drive your peace cycle? And then our Chris pauses and gets that cute little adorable smile on his face. And he goes, that's the correct answer. Wonderfully written, wonderfully conceived, wonderfully written, wonderfully delivered. John Cena, again, excellent, excellent work here. I also thought he was very charming with the hot dog debacle. That was a cute first date. And those were some good jokes about, the 1-to-1 hot dog to mustard ratio, 1-to-1 in the straw. But I mean, seriously, just get a napkin and wipe some of that off. That's like if you never over mustarded a hot dog before. There's an inappropriate James Gunn joke in there somewhere. All right, so how did you like seeing Chris and Harcourt happy? So yeah, let's talk Rick Flag Jr., who now jumps into the DCU in a way that I think is actually quite effective. I like this. I think this is very good. We find out that while Argus was making him date Enchantress to control her, silly Suicide Squad, that was the first movie, he really was in a meaningful relationship that seemed to maybe be going somewhere with Harcourt. Why does James Gunn make all these actors sleep with his wife and then film it himself? I don't think he directed this episode, but still, he wrote it. All right, but of course, we see them on the fateful morning, right before he's about to ship out to Corto Maltese, the mission where Peacemaker kills him. I loved that scene, but they're on the verge of showing it a few too many times to rob it of all of its meaning. All right, but I'm enjoying exploring the aftermath of it, though. So we're all wondering, including Leota, what's keeping Harcourt from dating Chris? And now we know. And I gotta say, it's a legit reason. Like, I don't know if Harcourt and Chris, with this in mind, can ever actually be more than friends. And the fact that they're even friends is a small miracle. Perhaps Harcourt can be friends with Chris because, again, they're very similar. And I'm sure she's made terrible mistakes herself and would hope that she would be forgiven. But hooking up, being asked to hook up with the person who killed your previous lover, I think that's a bit too much to ask of anyone. What do you think? Do you see any way with this new information that Harcourt could ever truly have a romance with Chris? I mean, it's a really compelling obstacle that James Gunn has put in here, but I don't see a way around it either. And I'm rooting for these two. I think they have a lot of chemistry. James Gunn's rooting for them too for some crazy reason. All right, so anyway. But while things aren't looking too good for them in this dimension, it seems there's a chance in the other dimension. Here, in a world where Chris and Harcourt have already dated, it seems she might still have feelings for him. The Chris from this dimension seems to have been a real jerk to her. But she still, somehow, Their chemistry is so strong that she is still maybe willing to get back with him, so long as he's truly changed. Maybe it was the skin-tight shirt and leather pants. We'll never know. But yeah, she's like, maybe. Lady, it's your lucky day, because this is not only a changed Chris, but an entirely different physical version of Chris. So by the way, when Chris texts her later, he uses the wrong version of your, and that drove me crazy to no end. I'm like, you're going to edit that, right? I mean, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and assume that he just thought that autocorrect was going to catch it for him and then it was too late. But I don't know, man. I mean, like, whoa. I mean, if that was intentional on the part of James Gunn and or John Cena to have him use the wrong version of your, I mean, it's very subtle, but I must say, I caught it. Did you? All right, here, the only thing standing in their way is still Rick Flag Jr., the alive version, who still looks good in yellow. I thought it was funny to put him still in a bright yellow. And I think the most touching moment in this entire episode is when Chris looks back at him when they're leaving Argus. Not just with sadness and guilt, but I felt with poignancy, right? Like, here is a world where Rick Flag Jr. still lives like nothing ever happened. I thought that was incredible. It was a beautiful moment. And again, kudos to John Cena, who was able to deliver a glance with such nuance. I liked that. But Chris doesn't feel so bad that he's still not going to try and take Harcourt away from Rick. Although, in our Chris's defense, it would seem that this Harcourt and Rick don't have the same spark. Perhaps because in this dimension, Chris got to her first, and they do seem like soulmates. You know, part of me wonders if this other Chris is so sketchy, maybe this Harcourt deep down is. I mean, they were talking about our Harcourt not having her life together and being a mess, and then they present this Harcourt who maybe has her life together, although she seems so bland and boring. You know, I would hope that there's more to the Harcourt commentary, you know, than just, you know, being, you know, Chris's perfect version of, I mean, but really, like, he wants a Stepford Wives version of Amelia Harcourt. Doesn't he want his Amelia Harcourt? That's the woman he fell in love with. Even though they look the same, they're not the same. So I don't know. Some people might be like, whatever, dude, it's Amelia Harcourt. It checks the box. But I'm curious, what are your thoughts on this, you know, love triangle, I guess? Well, it's like, I don't know. It's a multi-dimensional shape. But what are your thoughts on it? Seeing all the weight lift off of Chris's shoulders in this new dimension when he's able to, you know, indulge his worst instincts, really, I think, underscores that that's what's causing him and Harcourt to struggle so much in the main dimension, right? They're fighting a losing battle against their worst instincts. And on that note, James Gunn is fighting that as well as, you know, the creative DC. And, you know, as I said, sometimes he loses the battle. And I think we have a couple of examples this very episode. For instance, did he have to put the little boy right across the road from the woman who flashes Peacemaker with the piercings? I mean, like, granted, I'm not the target audience for that scenario, but it just seemed a little bit too crass to me. And again, maybe that's the show's vibe, but it's just the taste issue that I constantly come back to. And this is supposed to be more niche, but James Gunn is trying to pull Peacemaker more into the mainstream, at least in terms of audience, but yet it's still a very niche piece of content. Then why are the Mighty Crabjoys everywhere? Why is James Gunn pushing them so hard? They were in Superman, they're here. Is there going to be a payoff? And is anyone even interested in a Mighty Crabjoys payoff? I mean, I guess let's see it, but I'm pretty skeptical. Why also the continued focus on animals? I mean, I think it's amazing that James Gunn cares about animals so much, and he's done a lot of good, particularly with Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Crypto being based on a rescue dog, you know, his actual rescue dog in real life. That was really two really wonderful instances. But, you know, he just keeps doing it. And I think if he does it everywhere, then it loses its meaning and just becomes a gimmick. I mean, it's I think, too much. So, some of you might disagree, but that's my stance on it. That it just takes you out of, I think, the narrative. Then, speaking of animals, the animal and spider facts that Adrian keeps trying to recite but keeps getting wrong, I don't think that's a funny gag. I mean, I thought bird blindness was good. I mean, it wasn't the best gag I ever heard, but I chuckled at that. I chuckled at even the reference here a little bit. I mean, I'm still kind of going along with bird blindness, but this Adrian gag isn't working. And I think they're similar. So I'm not sure why one works and one doesn't. Although when Adrian said that Martians have just one big eye, when he corrected himself, that caught my attention because in classic DC comics, Martians have two eyes, even in their native form historically. But if you read the new Absolute Martian Manhunter, just one eye. And I wondered if not only was this show that current in its comic book references, but then why would it reference an Absolute comic, which is supposed to be a different timeline? So that was very interesting. I'm curious. I'm this close. I think it's actually a miniseries, so it's almost wrapped. I really thought that the Absolute Martian Manhunter had some interesting ideas, but I don't really think it ended up ever going anywhere. All right, and speaking of not funny, this Michael Rooker Eagle Hunter thing, I don't think that's funny either. I mean, some of you, I'd be curious if anyone finds some of these gags funny. Then finally, Judo Master is back. I mean, he's new to me because I didn't watch season 1, but he's returned. As I've seen a couple more episodes, through 5. He's okay. He's part of Argus's bigger plan to kick things up a notch after they got their butt handed to them and their eyeball by Eagly. So, what did you think of episode 3 of Peacemaker season 2? Are you enjoying the story as it unfolds, or are you just sticking around because James Gunn promised some big things happening in 6 through 8? Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.